Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be joined by a very special guest, the Hammer, Pody McCrory. He's back in action. November the 1st, headlining at the SSE Arena. Pody, is that the first time you're headlining in the SSE? I make it.
Yeah, mate, yeah. A few times I've been well up the car, but the first headline at the SSE.
Happy days, happy days, happy days. Yeah, it's obviously been a few months since we last spoke. Probably a lot of time for you to reflect potentially in your career. How have those last few months been since we last had you on the channel and since your last fight?
Yeah, so my last fight was late February, so it's been like what was it, like 8 months or so. It's been a long time. We bit of soul searching, some holidaying. Um, but at the start it was difficult, obviously, like coming off my first defeat. But I've I've just I've learned to deal with it. People get beaten boxing weekly, daily. So it's just one of them things. Like, and when you get beat at such a level, that's where the fight's really sort of 50-50, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, mate. How do you reflect on that fight? You mentioned there the Berlanga fight. How do you reflect on that and the experience as a whole now, 8 months on? Obviously, it was a big fight. There was a big build up to it over in Florida. The fight itself. How was that all?
Yeah, the experience was amazing. Apart from the fight, the the whole the fight week experience, my friends and family traveling to Florida to watch me fight. The build up, the hype, it was really good. I just on fight day, I just feel like I didn't perform to what I think I'm capable of, and that's just unfortunate, and something that that I kind of had to deal with, like myself personally. Just watching I've only watched the fight back once, and I know there's so many more levels like the what I can do, and I just think a few different sort of things that happened in the fight and stuff just that didn't go my way, and change the course of the fight, and maybe not adopting quickly enough during the fight. I thought was my biggest issue, but as a whole, great experience.
What did you would make of being in the ring with Berlanga? Obviously, he then went on to fight Canelo in his next fight. So you can't say you were one. Look at it that way. You were one fight away from the Canelo fight. I know you've joked about it in the past or whatever, and Canelo being partly Irish and all with his ginger hair and all that there. But yeah, how do you reflect on that? Did you give him a chance against Canelo, having been in the ring with him?
Yeah, well, just on on the first point, probably the weigh-in day. I think we were told that it was a final eliminator for the WBA title for the Canelo fight, more or less. Now obviously, if I had won, things might have changed, but we were told on the day of the weigh-in so late that the fight was a final eliminator to challenge for the WBA super title, or whatever you want to call it. So it was then it multiplied the fight by I think 100. It made it much bigger. But when I heard he was fighting Canelo and been in the ring with him, he surprised me with his hand speed, with the speed of his jab. He was explosive. I thought he was much better at controlling distance on the back foot than I actually thought he was going to. Probably a wee bit more on my end, and not closing distance fast enough also. Um, but I definitely thought that he would have give the Canelo problems. Um, I did expect him to get beat. But from what I've seen him and what I've read, and I still haven't watched the whole fight, but I've watched a decent part of it. I think he done like fairly well. He finished the fight very strong also, as well as a decent start. He marked Canelo up badly, probably worse than. I think he gave him like a much better fight than the likes of what do you call the Mexican? Oh, I forgot his name.
Jaime
Anyway,
Munguia,
John Ryder and so forth. Who sorry?
Jaime Munguia.
Munguia and Ryder, and previous fights that he's had. Um, so yeah, listen, I did expect him to test Canelo. I did expect him to lose, but I thought my experience of being in the ring with him, I think he deserves a bit more credit, because I've never seen a fighter get so much hate in my life. In my life, no.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even just thinking back to it, like I think a lot of people were calling it almost a mismatch. There were people genuinely out there saying that the fight shouldn't happen and all, which men obviously haven't. In the aftermath. Oh yeah, he obviously did hold his own for periods of that fight for sure, and did make Canelo
Mhm.
think. There's no doubt about that. Back to yourself, Ollie. Obviously, you mentioned that your last fight was in February, so it's 8 months ago. Between then and this fight getting announced. What you know, what was that period in between like? Was there? You mentioned at the beginning there was maybe a bit of soul searching, whatever. Some people had been throwing about the R word, the retirement word as well.
Mhm.
What what was that period like for you in your own words?
Listen, at 36, I think people are entitled to have that thought or opinion that I should be thinking. So it was a question that I thought about, and when asked, it kind of made me think like a bit more about it. But I think realistically, it was something that I was never going to do, especially like at this stage. I think I've got to that level, um, and I think if I then burned out, people would assume that I was just in it for a payday, really. And also, I think it sets a bad example to my own kids and my own friends and family, that if you get somewhere and it doesn't work out, then you just leave it and give up the ghost, when that's not what I want to be known as. Listen, I know right now I'm I'm in a point where if things were to go wrong next Friday, then the question becomes much more serious. Um, but it it was never really an option for me post my last defeat. Um, but again, I try to be real, or be realistic, and at 36, uh, 19 fights in, um, it's something that I gotta be thinking about in the future.
Absolutely, yeah, very, very honest. I appreciate that. Pody, looking ahead now looking to this fight itself. You're against Leonard Carrillo. Do you know much about him, and what he brings to the table? Obviously, looking at, on the surface, looks like had a few losses, but looks like he's a big puncher.
Yeah, listen, I think any man that can knock out 16 or 17 people has to have a wee bit of respect, and you have to take like an hour of caution when you're fighting someone like that. I've watched a wee bit about him. I've watched clips, and he can be tricky. He can be slippy. He boxed at a decent level as an amateur. I think he maybe boxed in the Olympic qualifiers and stuff. So tricky fighter. And if I think he's one of the fighters, if you let him get comfortable, he can make it a really frustrating night. Now he does have 5 losses. And I think on paper I'm probably a heavy favorite going into the fight, and I'm expecting to leave next Friday as the winner. But if I'm not on my game, he has the potential, with his knockout ratio, with his power, to cause an upset. He probably sees this as his chance to cement another big fight, and I can't let him do that.
With 8 months out of the ring, is it a matter of getting back in there and just getting back to winning ways by any means necessary, or are you wanting to go in there and make a statement so then maybe there are a couple of big fights sooner rather than later?
Ideally, I want to get in and make a statement, but it's just about getting back in the win column. Boxing's a business, and the bigger statement you can make, the better. But I think once I get back in the win on the winning side, there's going to be offers coming. There's been slight conversations about potential fights in the near future, and potential dates. So it it's really, when by any means like necessary, but if I can do that in spectacular fashion, not then that's great.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What are you? What are the goals now, for yourself, Potty? Have they changed at all? What is it? What is it you want to achieve in the sport from now until when that day comes that you do hang up your gloves?
I think if you watch like what I've said like previously and throughout the years of boxing, I kind of like to take it one fight at a time. And and reassess after every fight. Like the very start of my career, it was the fight for like an Irish title was my goal, and I surpassed that, and I've done much more than I ever thought I would have. But ideally, I would love to get back in and test myself and be able to know that it was the best version of me showing up on the night and and again show more of what I have. I what can I win at this stage? I would love a crack at like a European title, but one or two. Well, if I win here, after that another like one or two, like you're probably on the verge of some type of like elimination or final elimination, which I just like had. So I think the opportunity is there to get right back in the mix. Do I have a title that I want to win? Like off the top of my head, everyone will say they want to be a world champion. Realistically, can I do that? Possibly, yes, but I'm planning on taking a fight at a time, reassessing, reset my goals, and really trying to trying to achieve what I think I can.
Absolutely, absolutely. For several years, and I'm sure you're probably probably sick of hearing this. For several years, Irish boxing fans have talked about the potential Jason Quigley fight. Is that one that you mentioned there could be in the pipeline in the future? You said you maybe had conversations on a date. It's something like that. He'll you.
Yeah, listen, Jason, he also fought Berlanga. He done a great job. I think he done a better job than I done. Um, I don't know what Jason's plans are. It's something that was mentioned to me previously and something that I've open to. Also, a Luke Keeler fight. He's still unboxing from what I gather. He has a win over me as an amateur, so that it's another fight that interests me. And I think if Donovan Quigley or Donovan Crocker is going to happen next year in the first quarter, then I think like an all Irish fight with me and one of them guys on that would be a perfect fit. Um, but the rumor mill, from what I'm hearing, I don't know if Jason's going to fight again. And if he does, I actually speak to Jason, and he's a great guy, and he's doing a great job in managing some of the guys like in Ireland as well. So I don't know what he's going to be doing. I don't know what Luke's going to be doing. So I just it's two fights that I'm open to. I think for Conlan Boxing to put me and Quigley on it, it's probably financially a bit too much of a package for what they can do at the minute. I don't know, but if the likes of Matchroom can come in, they might be able to throw a wee bit more money at that and get it over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fingers crossed. Well, what you mentioned there, Crocker and Donovan. Fingers crossed we get that, and yeah, maybe yourself, all being well, in a massive
Hmm.
Irish fight as well. I think that would be brilliant. That would be you could even do a full Irish card top to bottom, couldn't you? That would be that would be pretty cool. Absolutely. I just wanted to something I wanted to touch on with you, Pody. Before I ask you a couple of questions about upcoming fights, actually as well. I do want to touch on. Saw you did an interview. I think it was Daniel Duffy, wasn't it, with ITV? You
Hmm.
opened up a bit on, wasn't it, International Stutter and Awareness Day? You were very open and raw about that. Just kind of a comment on that and yeah, what that was like for you.
Yeah, listen, I don't know life different or any different from not having a speech impediment, and I've learned to deal with it and like control it much better than I used to. Like in school, it was much worse. And even at the start of my career, I think if you look back on some of my like early interviews, it was I wouldn't even watch them back because I get embarrassed over it. So it's for me, it's still an embarrassing part of it's an embarrassing trait that I have. It's an and I maybe shouldn't think like that, but listen, it's just how I feel about it, and opening up about it wasn't comfortable, but speaking about it and the messages that I received, it seems like I'm giving some people that were in the position that I was in maybe 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, a wee bit of hope that they can do and achieve and become better. Yeah, it's again, it's something that I'm quite a reserved guy. I don't like to speak too much. I don't like to put myself out there. And unfortunately with boxing, it's what you got to do. But speaking about my speech impediment, my stutter, which thankfully has got slightly better. Wasn't comfortable, but I'm very happy that I done it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously, I for one wouldn't say it's an embarrassing thing at all, but fair play to you for opening up on it. And yeah, just if, as you said, if that can help anyone, any kids who might be suffering from the same thing, then yeah, fair play, Pody. Yeah, huge respect for that. Just quickly
Mhm.
before we finish, mate, want to ask you about a couple of upcoming fights. I want to ask you about Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano too. Obviously, not the chief support, but I'm not even going to mention the supposed main event with that one. What do you make of that one? Is this a matter of I, for one, hope Katie Taylor wins and sails off into the sunset? What are your thoughts on that fight?
Um, I think the first fight was amazing. I think the second fight's going to be just as good. I think their clash of styles and Katie's style is just it's it's excitement, and Serrano's going to come and fight as well because I think she thinks that she won the first fight. I think Katie has earned the right to further the sport in probably whatever way she wants. Ideally, ideally, and she beat Cameron at the weight above, did she? So she's moving back down. So physicality isn't going to be an issue. Maybe hand speed and Serrano's ability to put the combinations together at speed could be an issue. But I'm always backing Katie Taylor, and I sincerely hope that she goes and gets the job done. And if she chose to hang the gloves up, I would be in full support of it.
Absolutely, like an absolute. I know the word legend gets thrown about all the time, but she is.
Mhm.
When you talk about
Yes,
Irish combat, well, not even I was going to say combat sport, just sporting legends or Irish
certainly.
legends. She's up right up there. And just finally, before I want to ask you one more question about your fight, the rematch just before Christmas, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. Where's your head up for that one?
Just if I had to put money on it, I would go for a repeat of the first fight and an exact points victory. But I do know that Fury had he hurt him a few times. Also being hurt himself, I think he hurt him a few times. And if he capitalizes on the times when he does hurt him, he could get him out of there. Now my head says a points win for Usyk, but I I'm fond of Fury and seeing it back at the top of the tree would be nice. So again, I'm a terrible man for sitting on the fence, but my heart says Fury, but my head says Usyk.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And just before we finish, mate, throwing it right back to you, what can everyone expect from you on November 1st at the SSE Arena on your return? What can everyone expect from Pody McCrory?
I feel like I owe the people of Belfast a big performance, and that's what I plan on doing. Um, and I'm expecting a big win, and if it's going to go to, I don't think it's going to go the distance this fight. And I can't see Credo coming here and knocking me out. So I expect a knockout win.
Brilliant. Well, Pody McCrory, thanks very much for your time. As always, I'll see you during fight week and on fight night.
Yes, thank
Thanks
you.
very much for your time, mate. All the best.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. All the best.